Hi everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you and with the Trauma Research Foundation for the next 8 weeks. My name is Linda Ty. I'm a somatic coach and somatic therapist, mental health clinician. I'm also a yoga teacher and mindfulness instructor. And over the course of these next 8 weeks, I'm going to share with you some body-based practices that can help to inform you to reset back into your body's natural resting state. Yeah. We'll unpack that slowly over the course of these next 8 weeks. But for today, we will look at Polyvagal Theory, very short introduction, and then we will explore how the body takes cues from the brain, but the body can also inform the brain. And so there's this two-way movement of information, and we can leverage off of this by engaging in body-based strategies in order to relax, to calm down, as well as energize the nervous system. And in today's little mini class, we'll do this through the ocular nervous system. So the ocular nervous system around the eyes connects to both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And so there is, once again, this two-way information stream. But first, let's just do a little quick and dirty of polyvagal theory. Yeah. So here you can see the autonomic nervous system as a ladder. And up here at the top of the ladder, up here, we feel safe and the social engagement system is online and we're engaged with our environment. We're able to see into the distance and there's that capacity for curiosity and play and enjoyment, as well as excitement. When we begin to move down the ladder, this is where we start to mobilize our active defenses. So we call this sympathetic arousal. We look for safety. We perhaps go to character strategies of puffing up, being in charge, being in control, or perhaps character strategies of fawning, of being submissive or being compliant, or perhaps there's that element of frozenness that starts to emerge. There can also be fidgeting, agitation, and as the sympathetic activation arousals in response to a perceived threat, we then go into full sympathetic activation when we go into fight or freeze, and there's the vehement emotions that go along with this: rage, panic, and terror. And when the organism recognizes that survival isn't possible, we're then down the very bottom of the autonomic nervous system ladder. This is another branch of the parasympathetic nervous system known as dorsal vagal activation. It's a very primitive and yet very underappreciated survival response defense of our nervous system so that we can potentially survive. So this is the collapse, submit, feign death response. And so sharing this with you allows you to recognize that parasympathetic can be the dorsal vagal branch, and parasympathetic is also the ventral vagal branch. And so rest and digest up here can actually be confused with being shut down here. Yeah. For more information on this, please get into Stephen Porges' Polyvagal Theory. Deb Dana does some great work out there as well, and you also may want to contact a somatic therapist. Yeah. So the brain gives information to the body. The body can also send information to the brain. And what happens with the eyes is that the eyes connect to both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we perceive a threat, what happens first? One of the things that happens is the eyes start to get a little bit big. I call it the fright eyes. We go into fright freeze, and then we start to mobilize our responses. We start to look for safety. And so we start to move down the ladder. Yeah? I'll put this away. And what can happen is this tension starts to build around our eyes. We start to narrow our field of vision. There's tension here, and it's like the blinders or the blinkers come on, and then we start to narrow. We become short-sighted, and we orient towards the thing that we're scared of, or we orient away from it. So in today's class, we'll start to unpack some of that. We'll start to unpack the tension around the ocular nerves, and we'll start to unpack this orienting response so that we can move from here up to here, yeah, back into ventral vagal. So nice big deep breath, yeah. So I'm just going to invite you now to perhaps turn away from your computer screen and to look out through a window if you have a window available to you, and to focus your eyes on something in the distance, perhaps a tree or a building that's at the horizon. And notice what happens inside when you look at something in the distance, on the horizon, perhaps on purpose. Perhaps for many of you, you notice a big deep breath start to happen in the low belly. And this is an indication that the diaphragm has expanded. Yeah. And this is something that our body naturally does during the day, particularly if you look at computers all day long, is the body wants to get up and get away, right? And we might look at something in the distance, but then the brain says, I've got more work to do. And then we become short-sighted once again. And we can move away with intention, and we can take into our bodies with intention the fact that our eyes are telling us we need to reset the nervous system. Yeah. And so have a look into the distance with intention and take this in this moment, and notice the shifts that happen in your body. Track the shifts that happen for you. Yeah. Another way of releasing tension passively in the ocular nervous system is what I call softening the eyes. And I got this from a meditation master in the Chan lineage. And one of his mindfulness cues in preparation for the silent seated practice would be to soften your eyes by bringing your awareness to the area behind the back of the eyes and the area behind the back of the head. And so if you like, in this moment, find your comfortable seat and soften your eyes by bringing your awareness to the area behind the back of the eyes and the area behind the back of the head. Perhaps your eye tension may wish to move forward. If it's okay to notice this, and then invite the awareness once again back to the area behind the back of the eyes and behind the back of the head. And notice what shifts in your body, and give yourself permission in this moment to track those shifts and to integrate them into the fullness of this moment. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, if that's okay with you. And as a point of curiosity, I invite you now to maintain this awareness to the area around the eyes and to begin to think about your to-do list. The things that you need to get done today and tomorrow and the next day before the weekend, as well as the things that you have planned for the weekend. And notice what happens for you in the area around the eyes. And as you track that tension in the eyes, or track what happens for you in the area around the eyes, notice any shifts that occur in the face and the jaw and the neck and the shoulders and the alignment of your spine. And notice what happens for you in regards to your breath. Bring your awareness now to the area behind the back of the eyes and the area behind the back of the head. And notice what shifts. And then as you are ready, you may wish to open your eyes. Some of you may find it a challenge to look at the computer screen now, and that's okay. You can just orient away from the screen so that you can maintain this desire for the body to look a little bit further into the distance as a way to maintain a connection to the ventral vagal branch of the parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah. I'm going to share with you now some active exercises to release tension in the ocular nervous system. Yeah. So what can happen for some of us is we are in front of a computer a lot and there are tension patterns that form around the eyes. Or perhaps for some of us, we have become accustomed to living perhaps on some of these branches down here of sympathetic activation, where our active defenses are mobilized and ready, and the ventral vagal system is something we get the glimmer of once in a while, but it's become more comfortable for us to live here. Yeah, and that's okay too. And we may wish to, have some more active exercises to release tension in the ocular nervous system. Yeah. So I invite you to take a big deep breath and to connect to the area behind the back of the eyes and behind the back of the head. And to track those changes through the body. And then if it's okay with you, keep the head facing forward-ish and allow your eyes to turn all the way over to the right. Maybe the head turns a little bit, and that's okay too, but we want the eyes to orient towards the right. And in this way, we're stretching the ocular nerves. Breathe here, in through the nose and out through the nose and deep into the belly, if that's okay with you. Perhaps with each breath, the breath lengthens on the exhale, and perhaps with each breath, the eyes move a little bit more to the right or not. Mm-hmm. If you like, you can experiment with having a little pause at the top of the inhale before you lengthen the exhale. You may perhaps notice the nervous system releasing. Bring your eyes back to center. Recalibrate, pausing here, bringing your awareness once again to the area behind the back of the eyes and the area behind the back of the head. And then as you are ready, maintain the head facing forward-ish, keeping the eyes soft. Turn the eyes over to the left, stretching the ocular nerves. Breath in and out through the nose if that's okay with you, and deep into the belly. Perhaps lengthening the breath with each exhale. Perhaps the eyes turn a little bit more to the left with each breath. And perhaps if it feels organic for you, a little pause at the top of the inhale. And then as you are ready, eye gaze returns to center. And pause here. Notice how this experiment lands for you in your nervous system. Now, this may perhaps be enough for you for today. Yeah. If you like, you may wish to experiment with another Oculus Stretch, and that's looking up. Yeah. So bring the back of the head back and the chin down ever so slightly. And then as you breathe in, looking up towards the hairline or the crown of the head in such a way that you're not adding any extra tension into the neck or the shoulders. And if you like, you can take a deep breath in here with a pause at the top of the inhale. And then as you exhale slowly, allow the eyes to slowly roll forward and down, and the eyelids flutter shut ever so gently and slowly. Breathing in, chin down, looking up. Pause at the top of the inhale, whatever feels organic and appropriate for you. As you exhale slowly, the eyes and the eyelids roll forward and down gently and slowly. Let's do 2 more. Breathing in, looking up. Pausing at the top of the inhale, shoulders away from the ears, lengthening internally. Exhaling slowly, eyes roll forward and down ever so slowly as you breathe out. If you like, do 1 more in your own breath time, holding the breath for as long as what feels appropriate for you, and perhaps even feeling in internally to a lengthening of the vagus nerve inside. And then when you're done, just take a pause here and notice how this feels. Perhaps there's a sigh or an audibleness with the exhale. This can be a sign that the nervous system is resetting back into the parasympathetic nervous system in the ventral vagal branch. Yeah. So next, let's tap into the orienting response as a way of helping our nervous system to land in safeness. So safety can be found in our external environment. Safeness is what happens on the inside when we can take in the safety of the external environment. For individuals who may have a trauma history, there can be safety on the outside, but there may be challenges in regards to feeling safeness on the inside. And orienting to our environment can help the nervous system take in the environment in such a way that helps us to land in safeness. So I'm going to invite you to just look around the room, just using your eyes, perhaps moving your eyes slowly from side to side, perhaps looking up and looking down. And as you look around the space that you're in, notice what you can see in the distance in this space, whether it be the wall or windows or doors or paintings or things on the outside through the window, if that's what's in your field of vision. Take in the space between you and that which is in the distance. Allow the head now to move around gently and slowly, and allow the eyes to follow the head. When we go into sympathetic arousal, the eyes lead and the head follows. In this instance, we're letting the head follow and the eyes follow the head. Notice the things that are closer in, the objects that are closer in, as the eyes follow the head. And notice the space between yourself and these objects that are closer in, as well as the spaciousness between these objects and the objects that are in the distance. I invite you now to allow the torso to move and twist, and allow the head to follow the torso and the eyes to follow the head, which is following the torso. And The eyes then, with moving last, there can be this pause at the end where the eyes can then explore that which is at the edges of the field of vision. But the torso moves first, the head follows the torso, the eyes last. Notice colours and textures and light and shadow. And then as you're ready, coming back to stillness in safety, safeness. Safety on the outside, safeness on the inside. And when safeness lands, curiosity, wonder, awe, and imagination can then allow us to lead ourselves into the world. And we can move through the world from this spaciousness. Next week, we will explore how sympathetic arousal can cause for tension in the jaw and the mouth and the neck and the shoulders and the hands and the feet. And we'll explore ways in which to release the tension patterns in these areas of the body. In the meantime, be well, and I look forward to joining you next week.